Hello. I think we are live now. Good good afternoon, good evening, and good morning, everyone. Guys, meet Kilu, the luxury wedding king of Adelaide. If I can be a wedding photographer for my next life, that's Kilu I want to be. He's the crazy rich Asian who swoop out all the luxury weddings in Adelaide, and I love his work. You know, so clean, beautiful, and glamorous touch in it.
Thank you, Harry.
And he's always doing this Asian humble fight with me, so which makes me laughing even more, even though that his house is so big. His backyard is literally the size of my house.
I hope everyone knows that.
I love his work. Anyway,
serious.
All right, guys. We have a limited time, so before we jump into the presentation, we're going to break the presentation into two parts. First, Kilu is going to spend about 15 minutes to walk through his presentation. So you have the Jewish bit, or the new way of doing the lighting of his experience with 8100 Pro. We're going to condense those in the first 15 minutes, and we will answer all your questions. So please leave all your questions below. After the first 15 minutes, that's going to be Q&A session. Leave all your questions below. We will answer them one by one. We will answer all of those questions at the end of his talk, which is 15 minutes beyond. So, so feel free to leave all your questions. And now I will leave it to Kilu for his beautiful recent work with 8100 Pro.
Thank you, Aries. I appreciate it. Hello, everybody. My name is Kilu. I'm a wedding photographer based in Australia in a city called Adelaide. Today, I want to share with you guys how to make your images stand out in the wedding photography world. As everybody will understand, the wedding photography industry is very competitive, especially with a lot of new cameras these days that are easier to use. They are cheaper, and you don't really need to know too much about photography to how to operate a camera. So, the point of entry into wedding photography is getting easier and easier. With the mirrorless camera, for example, you get to see what you shoot. So which makes it so easy for people, even with basic knowledge of photography, to think they can start shooting wedding. But how can we, as professional wedding photographer, make our work stand out from the rest? And this is the basis of my presentation today. To be honest with you, everybody can shoot a nice photo these days, but how to make your photos stand out even more is your understanding of lighting. Not everybody who buy a camera, walk into shop, buy a camera, will understand lighting, understand how to use lighting. And lighting, to me, I think is for me, I'm still learning about lighting even till today. And if we talk back a few, just a couple of years back, using lighting is in my opinion was actually quite difficult. Because if you were to use a flash like this and you want to remote trigger this flash, you have to put a receiver at the bottom, and then you have a transmitter on your camera. And to do that, you need to to make them talk to each other. It's kind of hard because you can't change settings on them on your receiver like what Godox have these days, where you can actually change the aperture, change the zoom, not change the aperture, change the power, change the zoom without shouting to your assistant going, oh, you should do this, do that, that kind of stuff. So now with new technology, understanding how to use light, artificial light, as well as, artificial light is making life of wedding photographers such as myself a lot easier. And if you guys are a natural light shooter, I really do recommend you should start thinking about, getting into more flash photography, because not every time you're on a wedding shoot, the light will be perfect. And as a wedding photographer, you need to be able to shoot in any kind of lighting condition. And it's this type of light this type of gear that will help you make your work stand apart, and give you variety of your work. You can still shoot a lot of natural light as well, but it's this kind of equipment that will really help you, especially now with the new latest version coming out. We've got, you know, the 8100 Pro, which is amazing because, you know, it's actually smaller than a V1, and, you know, it's so handy to take anywhere. For example, with this photo here that I have here in this cover page, this was only lit up with just one 8100 Pro, and you can simply bounce the light of this onto the ceiling, and then you get, you know, amazing even light across every single bridal party. And it's really simple to use with that kind of regard. With my next slide, I want to show you guys a situation where, you know, we were shooting outside, and, you know, it's really dark. And if you try to shoot this with available light, it's going to be really difficult to do. And what I've done with this shot is I used the 8100 Pro. All I did was put a blue gel on top of it, like this. And then all I did was backlit the couple. And the result can be very different, you know. I don't, you know, with this new 8100 Pro, it's so easy where I don't even need to use a grid anymore because it comes with a zoom function on there. And, you know, one less piece of gear that I need to bring with me is awesome, because all I need to do is zoom it to 85mm to control the spread of the light, and then bang, I'll get a beautiful image like this. Another example, you know, we can look at this photo here. I was at a barn, so this is a very nice, relaxed wedding. The barn is beautiful. You know, a normal person, a normal photographer would probably, you know, ask the couple, like the way I am, to ask the couple to kiss in front of this barn door. But to bring it to the next level, you know, I added an 8100 Pro at the back of the barn door. If I show you to this slide here, you can see that I got the 8100 Pro on a tripod, and that's it. Very simple. No modifier, no nothing, and just shoot that through the barn door. Now, how do I create the smoky effect in these photos? I always have this little can with me. I bought this from I think colorsmoke.com, and it's very handy. You know, I can add different effect to it, and when you add different you know, smoke and effect into a dark area and lit it up with flash, you'll get something magical, something very different like this. And that's another way of standing out with you know, making your wedding photo stand out as well. And to do this, you know, my 8100 Pro, I was shooting at half power. So that's one example. Another example you can do is, you know, a beautiful reception like this. Now, a beautiful reception like this will make your photo amazing already, but at the same time, it will make it kind of hard to make the couple stand out, because the decoration and the fit out is so amazing. And this is why, you know, I always like to use some light in the background of the couple to backlit the couple, and just put in this case, I just put the 8100 Pro at the back, and then again at the high zoom 85mm, and then get this shot. So the reason why I do this is so that the couple will stand out apart from all the different, you know, the amazing couple, and hero the couple a bit more. Rather than them getting lost if we were not to use any artificial lighting in a situation like this. Moving along, here's another example. You know, on a wedding day, very typical, you get, you know, we get a photo of the groom, you know, a portrait of the groom, and to make it more, you know, in my opinion, to make this more special, more different, is, you know, I put the 8100 Pro behind a window shield, and to create something that's a bit, you know, different, rather than just a stock standard point and shoot shot. And that's one way you can do that. Again, this 100 Pro with zoom 28 to create this type of image that's stand out from the rest. Dancing. Dancing is my favorite time of using different flash technique and photography. You know, in different scenario like this, all I simply did was hold a 8100 Pro on one hand, and then with my Sony on the other hand, shooting different situation as I go. Now, a lot of people might go, oh, why don't you use a hot shoes like a V1 and put it on top? I can do that as well, but now that I have the 8100 Pro, I find this is even better and faster, because the recycle time is actually faster on the 8100 Pro, and because it has a built-in fan now. And the good thing about this is I can leave this anywhere in the dance floor quite easily because of the size. So, you know, if I want some shot where it's backlit, I can quickly, you know, run over to a nearby table or somewhere, just chuck the 8100 Pro there to create some different lighting effect, as an example of this here. Another example is something like this. You know, when I love using the flash to shoot through different objects, because I feel like it creates another dimension, and it really makes the pictures really and the subject really stand out. In this case, all I did was put the 8100 Pro behind the gold curtain, and bang, as simple as that. You know, I'll get a photo like this. And you know, I'm not always perfect. When I photograph a photo, when I set my lighting, you know, sometimes the setting might not be right. And this is why with modern technology it's so much easier, because I can adjust all my setting using the trigger, using the X1 Pro trigger, and adjust it that way. But sometimes I might even get stuck with a setting and nothing might not work out. And you know, that's why and in situation like that, I would even switch to TTL, and sometimes that's a lifesaver for me when I'm not sure what the setup and the settings will be. But yeah, with technology, you know, there's really no reason that you should be scared of starting to use stuff like flashes and stuff, and not just rely on natural light. This is another example where, you know, in the morning sometimes we would go to the, rather than go to the groom's house straight away, we would go to the preparation where the groom and the groomsmen will get their face, you know, get their facial hair done, you know, have a haircut. And again, in situation like that, you know, those photos can be quite flat and boring if you don't, you know, flat and boring. And hence why I start playing around with a bit of lighting effect. Those little droplet at the back is actually, you know, water droplet where they spray to wet their hair. So I just caught that moment where they were, you know, trying to wet a bit of their hair and that kind of stuff, and then have the 8100 Pro at the back, just lighting that up. Again, you know, I use a zoom function because I didn't bring my grid that day, and that came really handy in my opinion. Moving along, so this is another classic example of, you know, we'll get the, once the groom is all dressed up and everything, you know, we'll get some really nice photo, or even when he's adjusting his tie and that kind of stuff. We'll try to make something, you know, a bit different rather than a bit moodier, because, and bring in a bit of light and shadow. And to do this, I used the 8100 Pro. This time what I did in this is I used the barn door, because I wanted to really control my light to hit certain spot. In this case, I don't want the light to go too much towards the front of the room. I wanted to concentrate mainly just a bit on the subject and not too much in the background as well. And this is why barn door is so useful, because you can control where your light go and hit. All of a sudden, you know, with this you can control light, which is amazing. You can control the way your photo look and how you want the mood you want to create. In the next slide, here's a little video where it's a bit of a behind the scene of what we've done here. So yeah, that was actually Brady. Brady is an amazing videographer, so he was doing the video that day. So it was amazing that he was there, and he was willing to help me hold the light. So normally, even with the 8100 Pro, I don't really need an assistant because it's so simple and so light to use. This is another example. A lot of people on Instagram, on Facebook, or even YouTube that always ask me, "Oh, Key, how do you always get your pictures so nice and clean and bright?" Again, my trick is very simple. My trick is just to use a lot of light. And in situation like this, you know, where everything is really white already, but if you want it to be even more cleaner, whiter, and the white balance to be, you know, perfect and nice, all I did was, you know, put a flash like an 8100 Pro. But when I'm shooting it, all I did was point it towards the ceiling, and then let the ceiling be my big reflector, and you know, let the ceiling, bounce the light off and, eliminate any harsh shadow around the room. And by doing that, I will also speed up my editing, because editing something that's really nice and clean and bright is so much easier to edit when I do it this way. So that's all I've done. The trick is though, the power depends on the situation, but normally around 1/4 of the power will do it. But the zoom always have to be at the lower zoom. So in this case, 28 mil, because the lower your zoom is, the bigger the spread of the light is, and then you'll get a more softer light bouncing back off the ceiling. So that's that one there. Moving on to my last photo. Sometimes to make it stand out, you can play around with not just flash, but you can also play around with, continuous light to make your photo stand out. And in this case, the 8100 is convenient in this situation, because you can also have a continuous light source like this. So in this photo, it's very simple. I asked the couple to, hold the light and face it towards their face. And this photo is really done in a couple of minutes, and we got the shot. So that's another way that you can make your photos stand out, not just using flash, but also using continuous lighting. I hope that helps, guys. So that brings me to my last slide already.
Oh, thank you, Key. That was straight to the point. So was beautiful image of. I love your white and clean images, and 28 mil sort of zoom was a great tips, because ever since AKR1, I find I like the last shot I had with Ashley, I was struggling to use the zoom function already, because with a grid and the Doom actually which is more intuitive for me and my assistant. So
yes,
this is really nice presentation. And also love the fact that when you backlit her from the golden curtain, was like, that's key. Silver, golden, luxury, very beautiful images.
Thank you.
Speaking of which, let's shall we just go back and look at the question?
Sure. We can do that.
Yep. Okay, let's start with Tamba, who's asking you, how do you set up your lighting? I own 280 V1s and 180-200.
2V1 and 180-200. So with the V1 I normally use that for a lot of reception work, or morning preparation work. I use a lot of that. For 80-200 Pro, when the 8100 Pro wasn't out yet, I used the 8200 Pro for a lot of location work, because the light is a lot more powerful. But for me now, I actually use the 100 Pro a lot more because of the size. Even though the power is half the power, I still find it really, I actually find it enough. And in the odd situation where the power is not strong enough, I would have a V1 next on my camera anyway, and I'll just combine the two and get that look. So yeah, that's how I would use it.
Yeah. So I find with because I use round head all the time, I find it's the 8100 Pro. I know 8200 Pro is 200 watts. I'm not sure it's because it's round head, it's more even light, so it's adapted or something. I find it's a similar luminance level compared with 8200 Pro. So for me, I pretty much just replace my 8200 Pro with 8100 Pro already. If there's some extra power or I need to use a softbox with it, I will just go with 8300 Pro. So yeah, that's just my personal take. So Mike Colani is asking us, can you show the Godox projector part? Do you ever use a projector?
The Godox projector part?
Yeah. No. I think Godox does come. I'm not sure it's a I'm not sure if it's a bundle. I think Godox recently came out with a projector, which can be adapted with 8300 Pro with the Bowen mount. but it's not covered today. It's not covered today. So
Yeah.
But it never looks so good. How do you seek for inspiration? Asked by Mariano
So what was your
Garcia.
question again? Sorry, Eric.
Where do you seek for inspiration?
Inspiration. I actually, besides love taking photos, I actually love watching movies. So I do get a lot of inspiration from movies. Especially recent movies like the Queen's Gambit. I'm sure a lot of people would have seen that movie on Netflix. But if you watch that movie,
I love that movie. Yeah.
I was actually not watching the movie that much. I was actually looking at and inspired by the lighting in that movie. The lighting in that movie is just simply amazing, and that's where I get a lot of my inspiration from, on different lighting and different photos idea. It's a lot of that's from movies actually. Yeah.
So Eric is asking, what's the website where you get the smoke can?
The smoke can is from colorsmoke.com.au.
Yeah.
Colorsmoke.com.
I think it's only for Aussies. But I'm pretty sure if you're in other countries, you can.
Yeah.
You should find something similar. Yeah.
Yeah. So I always have this in my bag, just as a touch of atmosphere, make the photo a bit more moodier. Yeah.
So MV Pictures asking how to use Godot's MS300 3-kit studio light with different light flashes while using XT16 receiver. I think MS300 it's just 300 watt studio flash. It's very similar to 8300 Pro, but it needs to be connected with obviously cables. I think it's different topic. Today we're going to focus on wedding. If you want to look at 3 lights or 2 lights studio light setup, there on the Godox YouTube channel, there is something called a Godox Lighting 101. It actually teaches you simple, quick, and easy light setup, such as 1 light with umbrella, 2 lights with soft boxes like clamshell lightings and stuff like those. So check it out. It will help. It will help you. Let's look at next questions. So Jason said the bride staircase photo is amazing. Yeah, I have to agree. That's I love that photo too, and I appreciate the tips about using the white zone at 28. Yeah, that was great tips. Great tips.
Thank you. Like as a wedding photographer, the less gear you bring with you, the better, because there's so much stuff happening. So even though the grid is handy to have as well, but sometimes I'll forget and leave in the car. And if that's the case, that's why anyone has to handy. I've
already lost 2 sets. So I bought I recently just purchased another 3. Because I was just it's so tiny. I just keep on losing those. So I decided to purchase more because because the price is so cheap. It costs next to nothing. So I just purchased a couple of there. Just leave those in my car. So I would never leave that behind. So CSM is asking you which Sony camera is best for wedding.
Well, personally, when I chose my camera, I chose the Sony A7R III. The reason why A7R III is because I can crop it. So I can use one lens. Like my favorite lens is 24-70, and I can literally shoot with the 7R3. I can shoot the whole wedding with a 24-70 if I want to, because when I crop it, the 70mm become even much closer with a 35mm crop. That's why I would choose that one. But you do need to have a powerful computer to run through all those extra large raw files.
Do you want to talk about your recent movement, or you don't? Either way, I'm happy with it. Doesn't matter.
My recent movement, not confirmed yet, so let's not talk about
it. Okay. So Meet is asking how to make any situation creative.
How to make any situation creative? Well, first of all, you need to look at the light first. The light will determine where the creative direction you go to. For me, when I go to a situation, I'll first look at the light, and then I'll concentrate on the couple first, next, and then location is actually my third thing. So the light would, for example, if there's a light coming in from a corridor or from somewhere very different, then I would use that light to my advantage, and then I would add my own light to think of a way to make it more wow. I always use a lot. Pretty much every shot I take, I use flash in it, because I feel like once you add flash into it, a photo just become more epic, more wow. And couples are not used to seeing a lot of flash photo, because when they take their photos on their phone, selfies always without flash. So when I see that you can do something that look different, that's how you can wow the couple as well.
I think I was there. I saw how Kilu shoots. So I think Kilu always has this pre-visualization, if that makes sense. So he always, in his head, in his brain, he always have a picture which is so different from the natural light pictures. And so you have to have a creative mind there. Have a picture in your head first, then it's all matters. It's about the techniques, right? It's almost like camera settings, your lightings, your light output, your light modifiers with a grid or with a bomb door, whatever, or with a color gel. Then those come second. So it's always about your creative mind first, then the techniques. The techniques you can learn from here. The mind, I think you need by watching those movies, the book you read, the music you listen to. There's lots of those which is involved.
Yeah. You can get inspiration from the things around you as well.
Yeah, I think start. Don't be too harsh on yourself. Just try to create one new image from every single wedding, and you can start by mimic. If Kilu's style or Ashley K's style is something you love, you can start by mimic them, because they've selflessly share out everything about the lights they use, the color gel, the accessory they use. The Kilu is so to the detail. He even share with you what sort of zoom he used. So try to mimic his shots with similar sort of situations, and try to develop your own style, creative mind from there.
That's right.
So Edith George is asking, can we use 8200 in a photo and make the light looks like available sunlight?
Definitely. Of course, that would depend on a lot of scenarios as well. If you try to do that in the middle of the day where where the sun is really strong already, you can't do that. But on an overcast day, yes, no problem, you can, and you can do that. And I do that all the time. That's why in my bag I always have an orange gel. I just put that straight onto my 8100 Pro, and then I always try to mimic the sun with that to get that, because all my couple, sometimes a lot of my couple want sunset shot, and not every day you get a nice sunset, and that's when this comes in.
Yeah, sure. Johnson Vinod is asking you, what's your favorite lens for bridal shot?
Bridal shoot? You mean the couple or the bridal party? If it's
sure, he's saying you're such a good inspiration, Kilu. Johnson obviously loves you. Could you please share us what lens do you prefer, or what's your favorite lens for bridal shots? I would say, is a bridal party or for the bride? I think it sounds like a bridal party, isn't it?
Bridal party. It sounds like it, but I'll cover both anyway. So I'll explain to you guys on my wedding day. There's pretty much only 3 lenses that I use the most. It's a 24-70, and 24-70 will get me 80% of the shot that you see on my Instagram and Facebook. And then my other favorite lens is 135mm. The Sony G Master 135 is amazing for just the bride and groom, for those really nice close up, because the bokeh you get is just an amazing portrait lens. And my third favorite lens is my wide angle. My wide angle is more for my dress shot, where you see those really big dress shot that I do. That's where my wide angle come out. My wide angle is my least use. 24-70 is my most, and then second is 135mm. I hope that answers your question.
And Ali is asking, how many batteries do I need for a full day of photography with 8100 Pro?
Maximum 2. I never go over 2, but 80% of the time only 1 battery for the 8100. And that's why 8100 Pro is my preferred light now, because the battery is the same as my V1, and the V1 I always have in my bag anyway for reception photos. Yeah,
I do the same. I just can't be bothered. I didn't even bother to carry out extra battery. So whenever my 8100 Pro is out, I'll just take out the V1 battery, put it into the 8100 Pro, and that's it. Yeah.
That's right.
So Apex is asking, what's the best way to Nerf flash? And do you think crop sensor is good enough for wedding and newborn photography?
Yes. In the first few years in my wedding, I was using crop sensor, so I had no problem with that. I was still getting booking. Yeah. No problem. The best way to learn flash is to use yourself as a model. That's how I learned flash. And even though modern technology is amazing, and there's TTL and all that kind of automatic stuff, which is very good, which will get you 90% of the shot. But if you want to understand flash, you really need to start off with learning flash in manual. So everything in manual first, and then the reason why it's in manual is so that by increasing the power, what will happen to your photo. By reducing it, exactly. Whereas if everything is TTL automatic, you don't know what the computer is doing, and you'll never learn that way. So that would be my biggest tip.
Yeah, I would say don't practice. I would agree with Kilo. Don't practice on your real couple or the clients who's paying you, especially when they're paying you by hour or paying you by minutes, right? Just practice on the friends around you. I'm sure you have a friend who's getting married, or your friend who's willing to TP for a couple of images, and just experiment on them, and they're happy with good images, and you can build your own portfolio, which is awesome. And then use the the technique you learned or the formula you learned, apply them on your clients.
Precisely right.
Yeah. Jim is asking a question. Say, what is the best Godox lighting when you compare with Godox 8200 Pro with V1 with 8100 Pro for wedding photography and reception outdoor?
Yeah. My choice is a V1 and Godox 8100 Pro. Since I tried 8100 Pro, I can't do a wedding without using the 100 Pro or the V1. To me, V1 and 8100 Pro has this spot in the wedding when you shoot a wedding, because V1 you need that for your own camera, on your camera flash, when you quickly need to go through the ceremony reception to take those candid shot. But 8100 Pro is amazing for location photos, all that kind of stuff. If you already have an 8200 Pro, I think it's still a good idea to start thinking about 8100 Pro, because 8100 Pro, I'm now using that more for my portrait work, because ever since using 100 Pro is so much smaller and easier to use as well.
I know.
That would be my preferred choice. For wedding, you can't go past a V1 and an 8100 Pro, because they both serve one purpose.
So what are your settings on flash that you use mostly?
Okay. The reason why I want to say there's no such thing as most new setting, because lighting condition is different every single day. So there's no such thing as that. That's why when you learn flash, you learn to do manual, and then you start to understand, once you see the lighting, you start to get a rough idea of what power setting you need on your flash. So don't get used to a certain setting when you go out and shoot. With that being said, though, if you want a starting point, I think always the best starting point is 1/4 of a power. That's always a good starting point for you to start off with, and then you can adjust from that. But again, that's only a very rough guide, because lighting situation always change. The more you practice using flash, the more experience you're going to get, and then you start to realize, the right setting for the situation. My biggest advice is to practice. The more you practice, the better you get it.
Yeah. But I think in case you were asking which mode does Kilo use, he's mostly used the manual mode, right? Rather than, and from time to time he does use CTL, but mostly manual, as he mentioned. Here's a question says, can you see the question?
Yep, because he's got get up unusually super colorful and busy. Yeah. So I have shot an Indian wedding before, and it is super colorful, and that I agree with that. But this is why having and I actually shot that wedding 90% of the time using flash. And the reason why I did that rather than using something like natural light is because it's because they are super colorful, and when you use flash, you can actually bring out even more color of the and make the color richer and more nicer. And a lot of that wedding, I remember when I did it, a lot of it was using my V1, because back then the 8100 Pro wasn't out yet, and a lot of it was bouncing my light off the ceiling. Because bouncing the light off the ceiling will get you the softest light on the couple's and also the couple's clothing and her dress and all that kind of stuff. So that would be my advice with that.
Okay, cool. Thank you, Kilo. How about this? Do you want to go back to the bluish blue gel slide?
Yeah.
So you can answer that question.
Can you see my slide?
Yep.
Yeah. What was the question? When you put the blue gel in front of the flash, how do you avoid polish on the couple? So the trick with this photo is I also put the couple next to a street lamp, under a street lamp when I did this, and the street lamp is what gave it that really nice orange glow on their skin. And then the backlit of the couple, my trick to that is not to use the power too powerful when you backlit. I think from memory with this one, the power was only 1/16. And what I did instead was increase my ISO really pretty high. I think it was over 1600 to avoid all that.
How to make it look like available sunlight? A flash looks like available sunlight. I think we answered that question, right?
Yeah.
So your advice was using color gel.
Yeah, and use a color gel. And when you use the position of the flash, you can either backlit it, so it's like the sun is setting behind the couple, or you can move it to the side, like to 45-degree angle, but the light has to be away from the reach of the camera, so it's not in the scene, and just have that little peak of light coming through. That would be how I would normally do it. Yeah,
I think Adis, you need to understand also a bit the light. When you want to mimic the sunlight, you need to understand the direction of the lights as well as the white balance of the light. Which means in a reference point, are you mimic the midday harsh sunlight? Then light needs to come from right above. Then the white balance will be somewhere around 5,700 K, which you do not even need a color gel, because that's what Godox white balance is. And then if you mimic the sunset, the light is almost like around the horizon line, or it's like 30 degrees from the horizon line, or 20 degrees from the horizon line. Then you need a half CTO, even a full CTO, because during the sunset, the sun looks pretty yellowish, right? That's why it's called golden hour. So you have to, when you talk about mimic sunlight, you really, are you mimicking, midday sun? Are you mimicking a sunset sun? Are you mimic 50% of the cloud coverage? They all kind of affect the light quality, right? The advice would be try to use color gel and be mindful where the light position is. Sometimes the grid of the AKR1 kit would be helpful as well. And sometimes just use bump door like Kilu showed us, right? Yeah.
That's right. How is the better result going off? To me, Eric, from my understanding of this question, you're asking.
So which one to buy? Kilu is asking.
Which one is bought to buy? Is that, or is it a better result?
Yeah, like which one? Yeah.
If you don't have a light yet, you don't have a light yet, the first one you should buy is a V1. Because with a V1, you can put it on top of your camera, and you also do it off camera with a trigger, with a X1 Pro trigger. That would be the first one. If you already if you're thinking which one's better, there's no such thing as which one's better, because they serve two different purposes. One is more powerful and one is less powerful. One I prefer. This one is only off-camera flash, and yeah, so it's different purpose. But if you don't own one yet, then V1 would be the first one to get into.
Yeah, I would agree. If you haven't had any light yet, go get a V1, because it's you can use it on camera and you can use it as a trigger to trigger all other flashes. If you have a V1 already, go get an 8100 Pro, because it's off-camera flash, it's faster recycling time, it's a bit more power. So yeah, and it's smaller, which is nice.
And then if you also do portrait work, fashion work, then you start getting 8300, 8400, 8600 lights. Yeah. Awesome.
I think we answered that question somehow, right?
Yeah. Can you tell us how to create sunset look using the flash? Yeah. I always use a color gel, and then on top the 8100 Pro, and then I normally depend where you want the sunset to be. That's where I'll put the light, but most of the time it's behind a couple to a sunset. But sometimes depend on the depth of the light, sometimes the orange gel might be too orange for the sunset too. So sometimes I might not use it without the gel and just go just like that. And zoom 85 to create that kind of, yeah.
Can you share a career path, like the courses you studied, or?
Of course I can. Yeah, sure.
Oh, Kilo, you are so hot, man! Like so many questions.
So many questions. Great. Well, I didn't go to any formal school or anything like that. I have joined a few workshop and stuff like that, but that was mainly just online. I actually done a lot of my getting a lot of my knowledge from watching a lot of YouTube video where people like what we're doing now, sharing our experiences, sharing our technique, and I've done a lot of that. But in terms of an actual workshop, I only been to one workshop, and that was Kita's workshop. That was in Sydney, and that's pretty much the only workshop I've ever been to. But in terms of my career, the first wedding I've done was my friend's wedding. I wasn't even the photographer. I was just an assistant that day. But somehow from that, from doing that first wedding, I started uploading some of my photos online, and then people liked the photo, and then that's how I started to get my second booking, my third booking, and then yeah, slowly it just kept rolling in. But what I do though is I love shooting. So even if I'm not working, I would go out and shoot and put a camera in front of myself and use myself as a model. Because back then, I don't have anybody to shoot, so I always would use myself to train my technique and all that kind of stuff. And every wedding that I go out back then, when I first started out, every wedding I would try one new thing, to master one new thing. And that's my biggest tip. Every time you go out and shoot a wedding or shoot a job, try one thing that's new. And then slowly, after a number of different years, you start to have a lot of different tricks up your sleeve. and that's how you can, you know, stand out from the crowd. I hope that helps.
Cool. So, Johnson, I guess in addition to Kilu, we have AIPP, Australian Institute of Professional Photography in Australia, which both me and Kilu is part of and proud of. So if there's any professional institutes, try to join them and see if the competition or, you know, the courses is there are helpful. In United States, I know there is something called, what's that?
WPPI?
APA, American Professional Photographers Association, or there's a WPPI International for every single one. I think their entry is closed very soon. That's something you can try enter and try to be part of. And I think both me and Kilu were entering WPPI, which is a great learning experience for both of us. Another way would be to assist someone. Thank you. Marcin is a fantastic Sydney-based wedding photographer who's been very who's been great to help me out in a couple of photo shoots. I mean, like Johnson, if you are based in Sydney, you're more than welcome to get in touch with me and be part of my photo shoots. So that's another way of learning, which is very intuitive, very intuitive.
Yeah. And especially helping someone like Ari, you get amazing experience. I wish.
Yeah, I learned lots of. I learned lots of by helping out Kilu. Just you guys know, and he's amazing. He's all amazing. You always learn something new every day from another talent. So, what do you, if you can't bounce the flash to ceiling, it's not white or gray.
Then you put a dome on your flash.
Yeah.
Like this. And that's another way to soften your light. Or there's also one that the Godox kit come with is a card, a white card. You bounce off the white card, and then the light will bounce off the white card back to the subject. And that's another way of making your light nice and soft. Using the 8100 on your camera and using a sync cable. No, I haven't done that. You mean to, Aries, your interpretation is to sync the 81 cable?
I think with a sync cable, it usually works with older camera, like, you know, film camera, or, you know, some of the medium format, which is, I don't know. I never used that before, so I'm sorry, Matthew, we wouldn't be able to answer that question. Yeah.
Yeah. What focus mode do I use on Sony? My favorite focus mode is on continuous focus, the AFC mode, and then I always have the auto eye detection and the face detection on, and then on the spot focus, the one dot focus. You know, the one dot focus, you can have small, large, medium, or large. I would normally start with the medium. That's what I use 90% of the time. Yeah. Pretty much. It's fast, it's small, and it's powerful. Yeah. I agree. That depends on whether, you know, what power you need. Before the 8100 release, I used to use the 8200 Pro, so that works perfectly fine for wedding. No problem with that. But if you want to go even lighter, even faster on your wedding shoot, 8100 Pro is the way to go. Even though the power on paper is half the power, but I find that works for 98% of the time. And if it's not powerful enough, I would just pull the V1 out and combine the two together. That's why
I would agree with that. I would agree with that. Try answer that, mate.
What's the price difference? Get the cheaper one.
Oh man, you're so Asian. Yeah, I would say the same, man. I would go with cheaper one. I would go with Sony because I think Sony lens is cheaper. Like in mirrorless system, Sony lens is way cheaper than Canon. So not only look at the camera body, but also look at in long run, which lens performance and the lens pricing point is. If the lens performs similarly, just try to look at the pricing point. Yeah.
Yeah. Overpower the sun, yeah. It can overpower the sun. Obviously, you need to go a lot closer. But if you talk about full afternoon sun, that's why Godox released much powerful flashes, such as 8600 Pro, 1200 Pro. 1200 Pro is probably your best one if you want to really overpower the sun. But for something that for wedding, where it's fast, quick, easy solution, you can't go past something like 100 Pro or 200 Pro.
Yeah, I think in wedding you are rather than focus overpower the sound, you want to focus on run and gun kind of style, kind of
correct,
quickly, wow, right? Quick photo.
Sorry,
I shouldn't use that word. Okay, I shouldn't go there. A quick way of doing wow images. I think that's what 8100 Pro is designed for. If you want to overpower the sound, you're probably better off something at least from 8300 Pro to balance the sound, and 8600 Pro to overpower the sound. That's something you should be looking into.
And if that area the lighting is not good, and you have to overpower the sound, just don't shoot there. Find a different area.
Yeah,
because
exactly.
Lighting is the most important. When you go to a location, you don't look at the location. You look at the light first, and then you pick your location. Location's always second.
Yeah.
Yes, I would think. I would believe so. Well, 7200 is a fantastic lens. I miss my 7200. My 7200 broken, and then that's how I got the 135mm. 135mm is amazing, but I still miss my 7200 because of the zoom.
I only use 72-200 for studio shots or the church. If it's outdoor weddings, I just try to stick with my 85 really. Yeah.
You use on camera flash or off the flashlight? I never use on camera flash. It's always off a flash.
Yeah. But you put V1 on camera, right? You
I put the V1
on
camera, but not the flash that come with the camera. If you know what I mean.
Okay, yeah.
I thought he's talking about those one that flips up.
Oh, the pop-up, small tiny ones.
Yeah.
I don't even think Sony has one. So.
Okay. So it's I did put this on the camera. But I have this one as a backup.
Oh, he's asking, are you using on-camera, off-camera flash for wedding ceremony?
I use on-camera flash for wedding ceremony. It's faster.
Awesome. Thank you, Tanbao. I'll definitely visit you. I miss all my mates here.
That would be amazing.
Let's just hope this chaos ends soon, and we all get to go to do those wow epic destination wedding again.
That would be amazing. Ring flash. Harry, this is your
ring flash.
Yeah,
H200i is the round head, not the ring flash head. I think it's referring to the round head. Yes, the 8200 Pro round heads, as well as 8100 Pro, as well as V1. They're all round heads. They're all in the same size. So the accessory are AKR1. They are all interchangeable. Yes.
And that's why for wedding, you should stick with V1, 8100 Pro, 8200 Pro, because they're all interchangeable.
With a round head. With round head. So you can have interchangeable.
Which makes it easy. My honest opinion would be 100 Pro. For a bit less of the power, but you get the size advantage. And I think size matters in wedding. The easier, the smaller, the faster you can shoot. that would be my recommendation. But if you want a bit more power, then 8100 Pro is actually, yeah, it's up. That's what I've been using before that 8100 Pro came out.
There's lots of free tutorials on Godot's YouTube channel, so you can, I guess, that's somewhere to get started with. If you are based in Australia, you can go to coloredsmoke.com.au to get the smoke can Key was referring to. Otherwise, just Google smoke can for photography. Smoke can photography. I'm sure you're going to find something similar in your country. Yeah.
For outdoor portrait, I would go for.
I would say 8300 Pro.
Yeah, I would go even more powerful 8300 Pro.
Yeah.
Or even 8400 Pro.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Because if you're looking for if you're doing outdoor portrait, you probably want to use somewhere down the road. You probably want to use umbrella or softbox. I think 8300 Pro beyond, or like, which means 8400, 8600 Pro, 8200 Pro, is designed for that purpose.
I would use this, buddy.
Yeah.
Yeah, would be. That's what I use for outdoor portrait. The 8400.
Exactly.
Softbox.
Exactly. So 8100 Pro and 8200 Pro is more designed for run and gun kind of photo shoots, like weddings. You have to be really quick. And if you want to do portrait, you have all the luxury to spend time, and you want to use large modifiers. Then 8300 Pro beyond, or 8400, 8600, or even 8200 Pro is the way to go.
I just buy the AK1 kit, and that has all the modifiers I need. So, it has the dome, has the barn door, has color gel. Yeah, I'll just get that kit. It's not expensive at all, too, actually. Yeah.
So yeah, I just recently bought 3 AKR1 because it costs next to nothing, and it's so easy to use. And sometimes I use umbrella as well if I want to be soft lights. Yeah. So it's so versatile. You can use AKR1 as a small modifier for run and gun kind of photo shoots. Sometimes if you want to do some portrait shoots, and especially you are not combating with the sun, you can combine your 8100 Pro with umbrella as well, and that would also work. Wow. Well done. I think we have finished all the questions, which is great. Thank you guys. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you have an enjoyable evening as much as I do. And thank you, Kilu, for being awesome as always.
Thanks for having me.
And guys, we actually have a 180-100 Pro to give out tonight. If you can answer in the comments in Godot's official YouTube or Facebook channel, that what would you create with 180 and 100 Pro? Let me repeat the question. What would you create with 8100 Pro? Answer that question in the comments below under Godot's official YouTube or Godot's official Facebook channel under this video, and you will have a chance to win a free 8100 Pro. For now, stay safe and have a very pleasant evening or have a great day. I'll see you guys in the next week. Bye-bye.
See you guys. Thank you.
Bye.